Good morning and welcome to Free Advice Friday. My name is Keri Barnum for New Shelves Books, and we are here to talk about the business of being an author, publishing, marketing, anything that an author might run into. And it's a surprisingly large amount, whether you are traditionally published, you're working with a hybrid, or you are self-publishing. There are so many things that people don't really realize that an author is responsible for, or that an author is a part of. And so that's what we're talking about, the things that you need to know answering questions live. So you can join us any week by going to newshelves.com/FAF. You could also email in questions to info at newshelves.com. So if you're not able to join us Friday mornings, which I understand it's early on the Coast over there, you can certainly email in your questions and then watch the replays. So we are glad to have you here. We've got a couple of questions that were emailed in, one in the chat, and we're going to jump in and see what we can answer for you today. So the first question is, what are the considerations for manuscripts that are written by someone who has died and the relative wants to have the dead family member's manuscript? For example, a children's book with illustrations made into a published book for retail sale. So you know, you guys know my caveat. I am not a lawyer. If you have legal questions about the rights to publish something, copyright, that kind of thing, you should absolutely talk to a lawyer before getting started. But generally speaking, if you have a manuscript from a deceased relative and you are their heir and you have the rights to their work, then essentially you can publish it. Sometimes I've seen this done where it's published under the deceased person's name and the person working on it now. So for example, if there was a half-written novel and it was left to me, or someone in my family passed away and I wanted to publish it and I finished that novel, I have seen that published as Lynn and Keri, and that's how it would be published. Now if it's something where they had completed it and it's all done and they just wanted to publish it, I've seen it published under the deceased person's name and simply, published by or edited by, something like that, with that person who's doing the work after they've passed. So you do have some options there. Again, I think it's more the legality. Is there any question of who owns that copyright, or is there going to be any question between siblings of whether or not you should publish? So I probably, again, I'm not a lawyer, but if it were me, and having dealt with several deaths personally in my family and knowing sometimes when someone passes away, things are very calm and nice, and you should have this, I should have this, and everyone works together. And it's not so much about what's left behind, but the memory of the person. But more often than you would realize, it comes down to, well, you can't do that. This is mine. What gives you the right? And it becomes something like that. So even if things are very friendly when someone passes on, I would still probably ask in writing. So in an email, something like that, ask in writing to the other immediate family members, asking for their approval and permission to take over and have that manuscript. Again, I'm not a lawyer. That's just what I would do from my personal experience. So, for example, hey, brother, mom wrote this children's picture book. It was illustrated and she never got it out there, but I'd really love to publish it. Just wondering that if I do that, if you're okay with it, and if you're okay with me taking over the rights of that manuscript. And, going from there, again, having something in writing, just so if it ever does come to it, you've got those options. But that's just me personally. So you do have some options. And yes, many works are published post-mortem. So you can publish things, just make sure that you're smart about it. So there we go. Let's see. All right, the next question here. Well, yours is a big question, so I'm going to save that towards the end. I haven't forgot about you. Just know that's what I'm saving it for. All right, a question from Cheryl. BookBub recently sent Cheryl an email saying, we're thrilled to announce that Chirp is beginning to promote free audiobooks through our new Freebie Friday promotion. So for those who don't remember, Chirp Books is the audiobook arm of BookBub, which is a discount newsletter sending out discount ebooks and discount and free ebooks is BookBub. Chirp Books sends out discount audiobooks, and they also are a sales platform for audiobooks. So BookBub is essentially saying, hey, we're now sending out this Freebie Friday promotion where we're looking for audiobooks that are free to list in our newsletter. Currently, with the Chirp promotion, you don't pay any fee. You do have to submit your book. It does have to be accepted. If your book is accepted with Chirp Books, then while you don't pay any fee, they do take a percentage of all of your profits. And that's how they kind of get paid. But with the Freebie Friday promotion, this is something where when people are not getting accepted, they're giving them an opportunity to list their audiobooks for free in the Chirp Freebie Friday newsletter. But they have to pay for it. So it's a pretty moderate fee. It's $150 listing fee for the Freebie Friday promotion. That shouldn't be so hard to say, but when you say it over and over again, it's a tongue twister. Now here is the caveat though, and this is why I have not seen many people using this yet, nor do many people I know qualify it for it. So the Freebie Friday requirements. You have to have one audiobook discounted to free from Friday through Monday on the dates of your scheduled promotion. 2 or more other audiobooks must be discounted for the same time period. So your discounted books have to be typically between free and $4.99. But so that means you have to have 3 audiobooks. One you can list for free, and then 2 more, and they like these to be in a series. So that means that if you have a single audiobook, you're not eligible. If you have a series, but you only have 2 of your audiobooks, it's not eligible. So you have to have 3, which is going to be, in my opinion, this is why people aren't using it quite as much yet. And then there's that $150 fee, but there's no 10% the 10% fee that they would normally take from Chirp Books. So when I got this question, I think that it's an interesting option. Essentially, they are getting paid promotion in their newsletter. So they're getting paid to put your book in their newsletter. Now, mind you, your book is free. So they're then offering something to their consumers that they want, free audiobooks. It's a win-win for them. Now, on your end, why do you give something away for free? Well, sometimes it's simply to get people the exposure, to get the reviews, to get people to know about your books so you can sell the other books in the series, just like we do with the ebooks. Now, the thing though, with an audiobook is the audiobook does have to be available on Chirp Books. Chirp Books does not take AI books to my knowledge at the moment, by the way. So these have to be voice audio or actor narrated audiobooks. And you have to have 3 in a series. And this is what's tripping up a lot of people I know, because many authors who have successful series that I work with will actually sell the rights to their audiobooks. They will self-publish, or in some cases, they're traditionally published with their ebooks and their print books, but they will sell the audio rights because there's more time and cost involved. And so they simply sell those rights and take their cut rather than doing the whole process on their own. And so most authors that I know who are successful, who have series, are not actually producing their own audiobooks. So therefore, they do not have the control of discounting their audiobooks. The audiobook publisher would. So that puts them out. And then those that I do know who have audiobooks that are self-publishing their own audiobooks, most of them have 1 book, maybe 2 books, but not necessarily in the same genre. I see people self-publishing their own audiobooks more when it's a memoir, a nonfiction, a single title, than I do when it's a series, because a series is a commitment. Also, you're trying to make sure you have the same narrators all the way through. So there's just more logistics. And that's why many of them are selling the rights off rather than self-publishing. So I think it's interesting in the fact that it could be a good opportunity for promotion. $150 is not that much. And if you have 3 audiobooks that you can do this with, I think I would try it. If it were me and I had 3 audiobooks, I would absolutely try it. However, I think this is going to appeal more to small publishers who have multiple titles, or, the rare person who's got more than three audiobooks already out there. So if you had to have one free book and one discount book, I think they would see more people trying it out. As it is right now, I haven't heard much about this, and that's probably because of those reasons that I mentioned. It's something I'll keep my eye on. If any of you have all of your audiobooks and you do this, let me know. I'd love to know your results. But until then, I don't think I just haven't heard that much about it. And I'm in a lot of newsletters, a lot of author groups. I follow a lot of authors. So usually when things come out that are working well, I hear about them pretty quickly. So we'll see. I'll keep an eye and an ear out for it. But so far, not much coming from that as far as I know. If you have different experiences, certainly let me know because, again, I always want to know. Let's see, I recently attended a webinar where we were told that Facebook and Instagram ads are best versus Amazon. What is your take on this? We are in the business nonfiction. Um, so I wholeheartedly disagree that anyone can make a blanket statement that Facebook, Instagram, any social media ad is better than Amazon. I think, let me tame myself. I think in some ways it's a little bit irresponsible. And my first question would say, are they trying to sell a course or something where they are trying to sell either services, a course on how to run Facebook or Instagram ads would be my first thought. Um, but here's the thing. Certain books perform better on different platforms. Now we can generalize and say, hey, romance books really do well if you market on TikTok. And horror books do really well if marked on TikTok or Instagram. And Facebook does really well for women's fiction and cozy mysteries. We can certainly say that. But to say that one ad platform is better than another, I think that's just silly because each book is different. I have had, and I've used this example before, I have a client, she writes women's fiction. Both of her series are women's fiction. One of her series does amazing with Facebook ads. I mean, we have been able, I was looking at her sales from January of 2024 to January of 2025, and we have doubled them with Facebook ads because her audience is really on Facebook. We're able to get low cost per click. She's in Kindle Unlimited. All the stars aligned so that Facebook ads did really well for her. Instagram ads, by the way, like not her audience, does not work, does not happen. Meanwhile, the same book on Amazon, it sells with Amazon ads, and we do keep them running just to help keep her presence there. But we spend very little in this series on Amazon ads. It just the conversion isn't as high, the market isn't as strong. Now, the same author, another series that's women's fiction, again, women's fiction, Facebook ads do fine. They get some traction, whatever. Amazon ads sell this book like hotcakes. And so we run on this particular book, we're spending, depends on the month and things like that, but we spend anywhere between $50 and $100 a day on Amazon ads on this book. And they're profitable ads that are getting people onto the book in the series. So we spend a lot of money on Amazon ads and very little on Facebook because that's just not where the audience is. And by the way, if we do get hits on Facebook, they're more likely to come from Instagram. Same author, same genre, slightly different topics, slightly different audience. And therefore, what it is one audience hits a older group of women's fiction readers, and the other book hits a slightly younger demographic of women's fiction readers. And so there, it's not the same. I can't blanket and say, hey, these ads work better for you or they don't. We had to do the work. We had to look at the results and the data. So I think that generally speaking, authors should do their research, know where their books are most likely to succeed at. But then I think until you run your own test ads, you don't know. You may get onto Facebook and Instagram and be getting junk results. Well, try Amazon. Because I will also tell you, depending on what your business and nonfiction book is on, most business and nonfiction books are going to be something you pay for. They're not necessarily in Kindle Unlimited. They usually solve a problem or a need. Business nonfiction, I'm not talking about memoir, which is kind of its own category. So when we talk about this, a business book many times doesn't always convert on Facebook or Instagram because people on Facebook and Instagram have turned the work brain off. They are scrolling, they're not necessarily looking to buy anything. As a businesswoman, if I want a problem solved, if I'm looking for a specific topic, I'm going to go buy my solution if I can. I'm going to go to Amazon and buy that book. And so when I search on this topic, and if I can easily find it, then I'm probably buying that book. My brain is on, my credit card is connected, I'm ready to buy. And so sometimes that's the truth. Now, if this is a self-help book, if this is something that you have a funnel and you're working to get someone onto your funnel and your email list, social media can be great. But if you've got a nonfiction book, again, if we have a problem and we're looking to buy a solution, then not having ads on Amazon could hurt you. I have a book that I've worked with extensively that is on PTSD. And could we get some hits on social media? Sure. But I will tell you the ads for this book on Amazon have been strong and consistent because when people are looking for a solution, they're looking for the hot button keywords in this niche opportunity of books. And when they're looking at the top couple of results and they're looking at the reviews and they're hitting the buy button. So that book consistently performs on Amazon. So again, all of that to say, I think that it is grossly inappropriate to put a blanket on things. I think that we can say there are standards, norms. Typically, you guys hear me say these words all of the time. Sometimes it depends. And that's because it's the truth. Because I'm not trying to sell you on any specific way of doing something, but rather to help you all open up your minds to realize that you have to try different things. I have a client who has really been having some success in the lit RPG category. And so when we talked last time, I said, hey, our homework before our next call is I want all of us to go see where people who are talking about lit RPG are hanging out. It may not be Amazon, it may not be Facebook. Where are these people hanging out? Where are they talking? Where's their coffee house, so to speak? And a lot of it's Reddit. There's another page. And so then we're going, okay, maybe we need to bring our ads there. So I hate to see anyone put themselves in a box without actually doing any research for themselves in their own book. I think Facebook and Instagram ads are great. I love that you can run Facebook ads for a very low cost. It used to be we could run ads for $1 a day. I am seeing more and more where Meta is actually pushing to where you can't run an ad for less than $2 a day. But still, $2 a day for an ad. Some cases one, it depends on the type of ad, but let's just say $2. $2 a day and $60 a month is very manageable for a lot of people. On Amazon, we're seeing where you really need to spend somewhere between $5 and $15 a day on an ad. And that adds up over time and over the course of, a month rather than $60. We're talking about 150 to what is that, $450 per month. So I think that there are some advantages for authors who may not have the funds or the opportunity. And I don't think you have to do everything all at once. I think you can try Facebook and Instagram, then try Amazon. But I don't think that we can blanket and say one's better than the other. And now I'll hop off my soapbox because obviously I feel very strongly about this. Yes, thank you. Beth is saying that lit RPG, for anyone who doesn't know, is a literary genre that combines fantasy and science fiction with the mechanics of role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. So the term stands for a literary role-playing game. And that is correct. So that's my take on it. That's kind of what I would say. Let's see. Going back to the question about BookBub and Chirp does the book already have to be in audio? Yes, this is for already created audiobooks. And yes, the books would have to be on Chirp Books, which means distribution, not just through ACX. It would have to be through Findaway Voices, um, Authors Republic, something like that, somewhere that does wide distribution for books. All right. Rebecca, I have a historical novel that I self-published. I keep getting calls from hybrid publishers who want me to, for $800 to $1,500, they want to republish and put me in book fairs. Are these people legitimate? No, they're not. They're not legitimate. Block them. Run for the hills. Don't do it. This is actually a really common tactic, is where they say, well, your book is great and we want it, or, we want to publish your book, but we need $1,500 to redo it. Absolutely not. Uh, Publishers don't call you to republish a book unless your book is going, crazy. If your book suddenly is getting all sorts of sales and they want to get in on the rights, possibly. But a book that's older, that's not moving much, that you haven't been promoting, no one is calling and asking for that. And most of the time, even if you do have a book that's doing really well and someone calls and wants to talk to you about the rights, they're not republishing it. They may say, hey, your book's doing really well. I noticed it's not an audio. I would love to talk about your audio rights, or I'd love to talk about film rights, different things like that. Now, there are a lot of scam emails about those things as well. However, those could actually happen, whereas the scenario you just told me, it's not. And as far as book fairs, again, if we're talking about Scholastic typically would license a book to do a version that they publish under their own imprints and their own name, and they would put it in book fairs if it's something like the Bologna Book Fair or Frankfurt or something like that. You don't need a new edition of your book to do that. And as far as presenting your book at these book fairs, I will tell you that unless you have someone on the ground there, you plan on being there, it's not likely to be seen as much as you would like. So I don't typically recommend it unless you are personally going to be there or you have someone there who will be championing your book for you. But that absolutely sounds like a scam. And I also had a question. Someone else had gotten an email that looked like it came from Barnes and Noble saying that they wanted to stock the book in Barnes and Noble, but they needed like a certain amount of money up front and all craziness. Barnes and Noble is not going to call you and say, or email, text, anything, saying that they want to carry your book in their store. If they want to carry your book in their store, they're going to go find out on Ingram. They're going to buy it and they're going to put it on their shelves. They might call you and say, hey, will you come in for, well, even then, they're not likely to be like, hey, do you want to come in and do a book signing? And even if so, like they would say, we already have the book. There's no cost. Will you just show up? So unfortunately, the scammers are out. The scammers are out hard. And I wish there was a way to keep those people from contacting honest authors like yourselves, but there's not. So just continue with your due diligence. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. If they're asking for money up front, it usually is. And my advice that I've been giving for years is still the same. If they contacted you first, be very wary. Now, if you signed up for their email list, if you contacted them and said, I'd like your help marketing or something like that, that's one thing. But when they contact you out of the blue and say, oh, I just found your book, I read your book, Anne, be very, very wary, because that usually does not happen, because people who are legitimate in the business are too busy to just be reading random books to see if they can get the author to talk to them. Again, unless your book is going pretty crazy with sales, it's getting attention for one reason or another, it just doesn't usually happen. And they are preying on an author's desire to be successful. And I know I've said this before, but too many companies out there are making money off of authors' hopes and dreams of being successful rather than actually trying to help authors be successful. And I know there's many things in marketing. I cannot guarantee that your book will sell. My job is to make sure that it's seen and that it has the opportunity to be bought, and that we do everything we can to get readers, the right reader, on your sales page so they can buy it. I can't make them buy it. I can't make them like it if they read it. It's not my job to keep them engaged once they're reading your book. That's your job as the author. But it is my job to be able to say, hey, I did get people in front of your book. I did get these people, and here are the results. And so I know that's hard because a lot of people want guaranteed results or else it feels like a scam. But also, in the flip, anyone who is guaranteeing results, unless they're personally going to buy 4,000 copies of your book, they can't make that guarantee. It's just not possible. So it's a fine balance of nurturing hope in authors, but also, again, being very wary that companies prey on that hope and your desire to succeed way too often. I wish it weren't so, but it is. All right, let's see. I did want to cover, I had a couple people ask me about this. Ingram Spark did send out a notice stating that effective April 1st of this year, their print price for print on demand will be changing. So what does this mean? Prices may go up. So black and white books are now priced more competitively, offering even greater affordability. So this may mean, by the way, that some of your print on demand books, the pricing might come down a little bit, probably by pennies, but it might come down a little bit. That also means that sometimes your books may become more expensive. So, for example, color books might be more expensive, but it does mean that there will be pricing changes coming April 1st, 2025. So that's something you'll probably want to go look at to see how your books are priced. Go check on April 1st, my friends. Go check in your Ingram Spark account. See what your print cost is. See what your royalty is. Make sure you're not in the negative. These are important things to check when any price changes happen, because if, for example, the price of printing for your book went up and your margin was really slim, and you're now in the negative if you sell a book, sometimes the system doesn't catch it and they'll sell the book and you're literally paying every time you sell a book. On the flip side, sometimes what it's supposed to do is if it goes in the negative, it flags your book and takes it out of the system and just says it's not available, which means your book cannot sell. So on April 1st, go into your account, check your books, check your print pricing, check your royalties per book sale, and make sure that your book is still in good standing, that you're making enough profit margin, that your books aren't not being printed, and just checking on that in general. Put a little thing on your calendar. And if you happen to be one of the lucky few who your book is now costing less to print, which would make us all happy, then of course you can leave it. Just know you're making a little bit more per book sale. So that is one of the things I got questions about because people are like, oh, is this a price hike? Well, it may be in some cases, but not all. So that's one of the things that I would say. All righty. Now, I had a question from Elle about, unfortunately, the dark side of AI. That sounded like so dramatic, the dark side of AI. But it's out there. So Elle, unfortunately, looks like she's having an experience much like Jane Friedman did last year when she went very viral for talking about it. When someone was publishing books, Jane Friedman, for those of you who don't know, is very well respected within the publishing community. She has written multiple books on publishing and the market of publishing and writing craft. So she's got these books out there. And what happened is someone started putting out books, publishing books on KDP with the name Jane Friedman on the same topics Jane was publishing on, and they were junk books. Some of them were AI, some of them were literally like lifted pieces from her books. And it was this big thing because they were tying on to her brand. They were trying to get sales and lift from using her name, her brand, her topics. And this is what is very difficult about being out on the market. You can't copyright an idea. You can copyright, in some cases, characters, direct words. You can copyright a lot of things, but you can't copyright an idea. So I cannot say, wow, no one else can write a book on publishing. That's my idea. It doesn't work that way. Many people will write books about publishing and marketing in different aspects. They may even have my name. But the problem here is that this person was very much trying to impersonate Jane. Jane, because she has a very large online following, email list connections within the business, Jane started talking about this. She sent in a request to Amazon to have these books pulled down. And the initial response was kind of just like, meh, okay, yep, we'll look into it. And nothing happened. And then Jane started talking about it and she started to go viral. She started to get some actually interviews with the news and different things like that. And a lot of people were talking about this because Jane had the right platform to get the attention on it. Of course, Amazon noticed that they were getting a lot of people talking about them in a negative light. And so Amazon was like, whoa, 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 we'll go ahead and pull those books down. But what happens to the authors who don't have that platform, who do not have that opportunity, and who are stuck when AI books or books that seem to be impersonating you come out? Like, what are your options and what can you do? Well, number one, you guys, this is why I always tell you when creating your author platform, I tell you to claim your ground. Claim your URL. You should have your name.com if possible. Claim it. Claim that on every social media that you can think of, even if you don't intend to use it, claim it. Make sure that you are creating your brand, that you're creating your name so that no one else can use it, even if you don't really intend to be on Blue Sky. Well, you should claim it. These are the things that we are kind of thinking of. The other thing to realize with this is that this is not anything that your publisher can do anything about. It's not a publisher problem. If you have a literary agent, they may be of some help here. If you have a really large publisher, they might take a stake in it. But in the most cases, this is strictly something that's up to the author. And I'm sorry, that stinks. And I know it feels very alone. But I'm going to give you some ideas of what you can do. I'm going to share my screen. Ella has been gracious and said we could use her name in her books. So here we go. I just typed in Elmont. We can see this book right here, Out of Chaos. This is Elle's book. And then Elle has another book. By the way, all these books, these are the new ones. Notice how many have been published recently. Look for the fact that these things were published December 14th, January 5th, December 12th, January 21st, January 29th. There's a couple more here. So I want you to notice a couple of things that are red flags to me personally. Number one, these books are all being published very, very quickly. I don't care how prolific you are, you probably are not writing good quality content and publishing that quickly. The other thing I will note is that many of these books are 333. This does tell me, or this gives me a hint that this person may not be publishing in the US. It makes me believe that this person is probably publishing under a different country code, and the automatic conversion of whatever they're charging for the ebook is converting to that 333. Now that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but sometimes it's good to know since RL is, I believe, based in the US. So this is the problem, is that some of these things are really connected to some of the things that RL, your RL now, we hear W, talks about things like mental health and healing and different things like that. So some of these are connecting to that. And so you kind of have her books, and she has another book coming out. And what no one wants is no one wants books that are not theirs, that are talking on the same topics, to use their name. Because number one, what if they're using their name? Not only does it not feel good, it feels skeezy, but also what if you write about mental health from a place of knowledge, of experience and different things, and these people are using bad technology to create mental health books that are harmful? No one wants this. So some of the things that you can do here is, if you are in this instance, it is wise to go into Author Central. Remember, Author Central is an account that every author who has a published book on Amazon, doesn't matter if you are self-published or not, if your book's for sale on Amazon, you can go to authorcentral.com. You can claim your free author website on Amazon. I encourage everyone to do this. Again, claim your territory. I encourage you to do this. It's free. It gives you a more SEO on Amazon. Amazon, by the way, is the second largest search engine in the world. It just makes sense to get your free page and get your SEO on their page. So get that. When you go into Author Central, there is a contact us button. When you log in on the bottom, there's a contact us button. I would be using that contact button to reach out to Author Central. It's very important to note that there are two different groups helping KDP and Author Central. KDP help goes to one help center group, and Author Central requests go to another help center group. So if you say, well, I tried KDP and they didn't help me, I don't care, go to Author Central. They can still see what the other one's doing, but it's a different group. And I have found for cases like this or something specific to an author, not a book, Author Central is much more helpful. So I would be putting in a request through Author Central. The other thing that you can do is if you go, for example, I'm going to go to this page. Now, I do encourage you, number one, also notice that all of the print length of these books are like super tiny. They're quick. So I do encourage you, before you just go in, read a sample, see if it looks like it's bad AI, you know, what it is. Does it look like it's lifted from your books? Make sure that you know what your complaint is. So when you email them, you can say, Author Central, I'm requesting that this be reviewed because it is using my name on topics I speak on. It is trying to imitate my brand. And did they pull content from your books or different things like that? So you want to kind of be knowledgeable about it. I know you don't want to buy their books, but at least do the read sample there. Yes, Google is actually number one altogether. And since Google owns YouTube, then Amazon actually makes number two for the search engine and as far as the largest search engine. But anyway, so what we can do here is as far as Author Central, you can go ahead and do it there. But there's something else you can do. Report an issue with this product or seller. When you click on this, well, first I have to log into an account. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to stop sharing so you can't see all my super secret information, and then I will show you what we can do from here. So I'm going to log into my account, and of course it's going to ask me for a code and all the good things, which will come in a minute, in due time. But so you have to be logged into your account. You cannot do this anonymously, and this is just so people cannot be making all sorts of complaints anonymously, which we appreciate, right? As people who are honest and hopefully law abiding. If you're not, I don't want to know about it. We want these things to be, known. So let me share my screen again so I can show you what you can do. There we go. Okay, so we're back here. And if we do report an issue with this product or seller, it pulls up these options. So it says, what is wrong with with this page? Some product information is missing, inaccurate. Parts of this page don't match. And then they've got all these things. So you can say I have an issue with the seller. If, for example, the seller or person is imitating you, you can also do, inaccurate or could be improved. Like choose which one you feel is best for what your direct complaint is. And when you make a complaint here, so I'll say it's suspicious, it'll ask for more information. It uses my intellectual property without my permission. It's not safe or compliant. Reviews, question and answer contain illegal content. This content is otherwise illegal. And then it'll ask you questions about different things. And you can do other, and then you do have to check here. I have a good faith belief that the information and allegations I submit herein are accurate and complete. So again, we're not doing this willy-nilly. We're not going, well, this person has my name, they're more popular than me, and how dare their name be Sarah Jones. We're not doing that. But if you truly believe that there's an issue, and it does appear that there are things here, Elle, that don't look quite right. Then you can do this and you can report each of the pages with the different books. Pair it with your author central request. Your name is tied to all of them. It's important for you to know this, that Amazon can look and see that you have connected all of these dots. But that would be my first line of defense because these go to different places within Amazon. Your request on KDP goes to one help center. Your author central request goes to another help center. Your complaint on the author page goes to another help center. And the reason why this is important is this means that multiple people are looking at the issue. They're all logging what they find. And this is why it's important, is because if one team goes, nope, looks legit to me, looks legit to me. So the KDP team may be going, okay, we need to do an internal review to make sure that this publishing account has all the checks in place. Have we done the ID verification and so on and so forth? The content people may say, man, you're right. Like there's a lot of content. It doesn't even make sense. It's obviously not great content. People on Author Central are going to be looking more again at your author page and the authenticity there. So this is why we want to go through the different places. And again, you can click, dare I say, you can actually talk to a sales associate or a customer service associate. And so there are different ways to reach people. And this is what I would be doing. Now, granted, if you had a huge platform and you could go viral online, do it. Get as many eyes on it as you can, but not everyone has that opportunity. So the three tools that I've just given you are tools that can be done directly on Amazon on your own, and you can do them. Now, I have seen in some cases, if you have a publisher also, or you have an agent, where each of you is making a report of an issue with the product and you're putting in your, your own information there. So that's something, whereas you may have other people do this. But again, do not do this willy-nilly. Make sure that you have done your homework, that we're not harming someone who truly is innocent. And then you go from there. Now, ultimately, it's up to Amazon. Amazon, it's their platform. I've said this, it's their playground. They make up the rules here. And so that's one of the things is that Amazon makes the rules. So they may say, nope, they've done everything legally. They can do what they do, and I can't really do anything. That will sometimes happen. Now, I will also say that Amazon's mission is to provide products that make their customer happy. Customer satisfaction is one of Amazon's top goals. When you look at their mission, you look at how they run their company, they are worried about customer satisfaction. Why? Because that's how they keep people buying online instead of going to the local store. So that is one of the things that I would definitely consider, is that they want their readers, their customer, to have great customer satisfaction. And I would be using that to write in my complaint. I fear that reader customer satisfaction will be very low due to X, Y, and Z. And you explain what those reasons are. Knowing what their pain points are, knowing what they care about, allows you to craft your complaint letter in such a way that they care to listen. And I do think that's very important. If they just say, nope, everything's legit, we can't really do anything. You can appeal, you can go through the process again, you can ask other people to make complaints on your behalf and so on and so forth. But really what it comes down to is make sure you have your author central page, make sure you claim that page, make sure you have your Goodreads page, claim that page. If there's a book on your page, on your author page that's been assigned to you that's not your book, make sure you go into the librarian group on Goodreads and you ask that it be taken down, or you ask it be removed from your account, and stating why. Make sure that you've claimed your social media. Make sure that on your social media, on your website, that you say, these books are mine. There is another Elmont who might be writing on other topics. However, I want you to know those books are not mine. These three are. Now, I wouldn't spend too much time on it because while it feels glaringly loud to you and it feels like everyone knows and it's just horrible, and it is horrible, I also want you to know that most people looking for you are looking for your book specifically. We know when we're searching on Amazon that we're looking for a specific product, a specific person. And so as long as it's not in your author page or your Amazon author page and different things like that, most people are probably just be like, oh, that's probably not the same one, especially after looking at it for a minute or two. And we can only do what we can do. So while it feels like it's this tremendous thing, and it is terrible, know that it feels bigger to you than it probably does to the average person who's going over to your web pages or who's looking for your books. And so you can do what you can do, but don't dwell on it. Even in your bios, maybe a little note, but have it quick and simple. We do not want to be, it's kind of like airing your dirty laundry to your readers. Quick and simple. These are my books. I'm very proud of them. I often get asked if I've written other books, and while there is another Elmont out there, those books are not mine. Something quick, simple, and nothing too involved. So I think that's one of the things to just consider. And yes, Elle is saying that her books specifically are Out of Chaos and People Helping People are her only two books. And again, I think that was obvious based on the price of all the other books, how quickly they came out, how short they are. It was pretty obvious that they're probably from a singular source that is not you. So hopefully those tools help, and certainly follow through with those and let us know how it goes. And if this happens to you for anyone else, I'm sorry, it stinks. I wish there were better protections. I mean, Amazon has started doing verification, ID verification for KDP accounts, which is kind of a pain to set up, to be honest. It's not hard, it's just kind of annoying, but I know why they're doing it. And I really appreciate that they're trying to keep some of these people out of the publishing landscape. But scam artists have been around for a long time and they will find ways to do things. And no one wants to be a victim of that. Do what you can, but also don't let it consume you. Don't let it take away from your art and what you're doing. Because people who are scamming in this way are not interested in working really hard typically. And so they're going to fall off pretty soon if what they're getting is not getting them any results or sales. So I would do those things. Hopefully it works out. You can, of course, also you can get a membership with Authors Guild, and Authors Guild does have a legal team that may be able to take some steps for you as well. Alliance of Independent Authors will do that as well. I don't think IBPA does have any type of legal opportunities like that, but you could look into that as well. So there are steps, there are levels, but also how much energy, money, and time do you want to put into it is one of the questions I would ask. And definitely start with Amazon because it's their playground, it's their platform. So see if they will manage it as you hope they will. So, all righty, guys. I think that is all I've got for today. It was fun and informative, and I appreciate you guys being here. We will be back next Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern to answer your questions. Feel free to join us live, and of course, you can always email those questions into info@newshelves.com. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.